Hello lovely people. Today we will be testing these three big boy amplifiers monoblocks and we'll see which one is the cleanest and we're gonna see if Taramps deserves all the hate that it receives. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I've been running this Taramps Smart 3 bass for my infinite baffle subwoofer because it's just over 1000 watts and I wanted to have an amplifier with quite a lot of headroom. Then very recently I had the Down4 Sound Easy Power A10 that does something similar like 2.7 kilowatts into 2 ohms, and I got these. So these were my dream monoblock amplifiers because these are the biggest that Alpine ever made. Now Alpine makes the R2 series, which is like 1.5 kilowatts, like 1500 watts or something. This one is MRX M240. It's claimed 2400 watts into 2 ohms, but the birth sheet says 2800, so it's almost a 3K. So almost comparable to this one. So this one is, as I mentioned, MRX M240, and this one is MRP M2000. So this is slightly older than that one. It's just a 2000 watts into 2 ohms, but I always wanted them, and now I have both of them, and now we can compare. I have my Quantasylum QA403 to do all the measurements, and we're gonna see which one of them is the cleanest one, because probably everybody's gonna say, oh, these Alpines are gonna blow this Taramps out of the water, it's super dirty. Like when I bought this Taramps and I posted online and I kind of gave people an option to guess how clean it is, everybody said that it's gonna be as dirty as like 10% HD all the way up. Well, we will see. Actually, I do have a video about this. When I just bought it, I did compare it to the Alpine X series A90M amplifier, but that one is much lower power compared to these, and these are much older ones. So yeah, all of them are Class D, just to show you the internals, because you can see the form factor is like, it's a massive difference. This one is tiny, and it's the most powerful from all the three. So let me turn around all of them and just to show you what the internals are like. There we go, that's how it looks like. And you can see Alpines, they have a lot of empty space, especially this M2000, which is the older model. It has like all of this bit, and you can see like this amplifier, it has all the FETs kind of angled, so they don't have to be flat, so the amp can be a little bit narrower compared to this. When it's totally flat, it has to be much wider. Now in here we have, this is the power supply, and all of this is kind of the output side. So on the power supply we have 1, 2, 3, 4 transformers, exactly the same over there, and on this one we have just one. Now the difference between a toroid transformer and like a normal transformer is efficiency and reliability. Toroids, they're more efficient, so you can get more power out of them even in a smaller form factor. However, they're not as reliable as these, so these are much more reliable. So for example, this amplifier, if I'm going to turn it upside down, you can see it's 2012, so it's made in 2012, so what, 12 years ago. This one is a bit older than that, probably like 2010 or something like that, and this is brand new. And modern Class D amplifiers are, obviously depends on the budget, but they are much better than old. Like for example, if you take the old school Alpine Class D amplifiers, the first generation, the MRD or MRP, the smaller ones, those are quite bad. Like really, maybe they make the power, but they're not as clean as like modern Class D. So the size difference, because you can see this is just tiny. Now why it is that the same power class amplifiers can be such different size? Alpines are cooled passively. They don't have any fans, anything. That's why they need a lot of thermal mass. So like this heatsink, it weighs a ton, whereas this one is very thin aluminum, because metal, it does cost money, so this heatsink probably costs 5 times more compared to the Taramps heatsink. However, the Taramps compensates everything with fans. It has 2 active cooling fans, and they do blow straight through the FETs, so it removes all the heat that builds up. Whereas in this one, it kind of relies on the natural heat dissipation. That's why these are massive compared to the Taramps. Now, in regards to measuring this, because I do have this, yeah? However, this one is not really designed to measure these massive monoblocks. So this one goes up to 40 volts RMS AC. However, these ones, they do produce a little bit more. So I need a divider, and I use the same divider that I did use using a Scarlett interface. So inside I have some caps and this potentiometer instead of a resistor that attenuates the signal, and it gives me kind of a balanced output. So I am using both inputs on the interface, and that's how I can measure much higher signal than this can take in. In regards to the power, I do have this lithium, but this lithium is not very powerful, so it maxes out probably like 70-80 amps. And I got this power supply, so this is from AliExpress, and it is rated at 125 amps. It does like 100 amps clean. So I did measure these amplifiers up to 200 amps of current. So the power wire is 4 gauge because I don't have anything bigger, and it is a short run. So I did connect this one directly to the lithium, and I do have these ones that go directly to the amplifier. And I did get quite a lot of voltage drop, so I tried to keep it at 13.2, 13.4. However, this voltage holds like 13 volts. I can hold until like 120, 150 amps. If I go higher, like 200 amps, the voltage drops to 12.5. So bear that in mind that these measurements, I'm going to show you them very, very soon, was taken with about 12.5 volts. Now, obviously, they're not going to do rated power because the rated is 14.4, and I just cannot keep up. So because this is not designed for that, I had to connect some extra resistors inside. So I have 8 resistors times 100 watts, so like 800 watts, and I'm measuring 2 kilowatt amplifiers. So again, it's not designed for that, but it's just fun to see. Now, I did see and encounter a problem with this MRX M240. The problem is that whenever it's drawing more than 100 amps, it goes into hard clip and I can hear something buzzing. So when I had it like this, I could hear some buzzing coming like from this area. So I imagine on this side here, I think this is an output inductor for one of the channels, because it's kind of, I don't want to say it's 2 channels, but it's, how do you call it, full bridge, half bridge? I don't know about these, but they're different topology. I think this is full bridge, but I might be mistaken. But I think this is an inductor, and I think one of them is bad, and that's why I'm getting literally this. I'm going to show you all in detail a bit later, but you can see that distortion is at about 5%. Anything above like 50-60 watts, I measured up to 800 watts, and I have 5% distortion because something is wrong with this amplifier. So this is a little bit of a disappointment because I literally just got it yesterday, and I will have to send it for repair. So on subs, probably you're not going to hear that, like 5% distortion on subwoofers, you're not going to hear that. But compared to both of these, this is broken. Something is wrong with it. So it is a shame, but after fixing it, I think it's gonna be fine. The other major differences between the MRP and MRX is that MRX has only 2 FETs, and these are chunky. These are like massive, massive FETs. Whereas this one, I'm gonna put it down. It has 4 FETs, and they're a little bit smaller. But again, this one does much more power than this one. So there we go. Since this is kind of broken almost, we'll have to compare these two, MRP M2000 versus the Smart 3. And we will see which one is cleaner, and can you use a Taramps monoblock amplifier in an SQ setup. So let's jump into the laptop. Okay, so this MRX, you can see this is the THD versus level. And I did measure only up to 500 watts, not even 800, because anything above that, the output inductor starts screeching, like audibly it starts to complain as if being in clipping. And you can see here we have already, yeah, it's like 5% clipping. It starts to clip 1% above 20 watts. So there is something wrong with this amplifier, and it will need fixing. So if I'm gonna have a look at 50 hertz sine tone, I have this. So this is at 100 watts. And the thing is, like, now it shows 0.2%, but it is fluctuating. Like, if you leave this measurement running in RTA, it goes up, it goes down. On higher power levels, like this mountain, it just goes all the way up to there. And like, I don't know, I never seen anything like this before, but this is like, it's the noise floor is increasing massively, like all the way up to like minus 40 dB or so. That's why the distortion is big. So it's not the harmonics, it's the actual noise that goes up. And yeah, it is what it is. So if I'm gonna go to overlays, and this is the distortion of these three amplifiers. So we can see that this one, the MRX, that is faulty, it's all the way up there. And this, there you go, this is the Taramps versus Alpine. And since my voltage was dropping like into mid 12 volts or so, up to 1%, I got only, what did I get? 1700 watts, close to 1700 watts on the Alpine, and on the Taramps, close to 1900 watts. Just because, as I mentioned, like 12.2, 12.3 volts. So voltage is not there. But the difference, you can see it's not that big. Yes, it is, but like on the subwoofer level, so the Alpine here, like if we're gonna have a look at the bigger wattage output, like from 200 watts up to 1000 watts, the Alpine, yes, it is cleaner, it's like 0.02, and the Taramps is 0.1 and a bit higher, up to 0.2. So on subwoofers, again, up to 1, 2, 3%, you're not gonna notice that. And this, the MRX, even if it has like 5%, probably it wouldn't be audible on subwoofers in the very, very back. So that's why the seller didn't notice this problem, because he said that the amplifier works fine. And I have no doubt that you will not hear anything. So from audibility works fine, but when you take these measurements, yeah, it is faulty. So the difference between this Alpine and the Taramps is not that big. The surprising part that we have this some kind of massive mountain on the Alpine, about like 40 watts or so. I don't know why, but there you go. It is what it is. If we're gonna have a look at the spectrum, here we're gonna see the most differences. So this is the MRX, the faulty one, see? Then we're gonna add the M2000. So the M2000, you can see that the noise floor is way down there, and the MRX is probably gonna perform very similarly to the M2000, because we can see harmonics. Yeah, these are a bit higher, but probably just because there's something wrong with it. So yeah, that's M2000. We have minus 80 and lower order harmonics, and the Taramps is this. So yeah, if you like literally A/B compare them, it's not a big difference. Yes, Taramps is very, very dirty over here. You can see their upper harmonics like noise. All the noise, yes, Taramps has loads of noise. And Alpine, like the noise level, it is much cleaner. However, for the subwoofers, all this noise is minus 85 and lower, and on the higher frequencies, minus 100. So this is absolutely not audible. So objectively looking, yes, Alpine is cleaner than the Taramps. However, not by much, to be honest. I was expecting a much, much bigger difference, but in reality, it's not bad. Now, another thing that I want to show you is the frequency response. There we go. So on both of these amplifiers, I did measure from 10 hertz, and on both of these amplifiers, the infrasonic, so the Taramps, infrasonic was removed by Sam, and the M2000 infrasonic goes down to 5 hertz. And yeah, it's so linear. The difference is the roll-off. You can see that the Taramps has a shallower roll-off, but both of them play into infrasonic level. So for IB subwoofers, it is perfect. Both of them play flat all the way up to, we can see like 150, 130 hertz. So yeah, it's not that big of a difference between them. So now, since I have three big monoblocks, what I'm gonna do with them. This is gonna go for sale because I don't need it. I could keep it just because of the small form factor. What I don't like is that it's actively cooled, so if you're gonna push it, it needs fans, and I don't like the buzzing of fans. Now this one obviously is gonna go for repair, so yeah, I'm gonna send it to Sam and see what he can do with it, fix it or not. And this one is gonna go into my car. So yeah, somebody was using these screws to fit it somehow. Since I'm an Alpine fanboy, I'm gonna be very happy keeping this. And even if on subwoofers, measurably there is a difference between these, and I know some people are going to ask about the dampen factor. Dampen factor does not matter, just forget about it. It is a spec that nobody should pay any attention to, but everybody's paying it. I don't know why, I don't understand. If you don't believe me, just go back and watch my previous video was about the dampen factor, where I don't know, in my case I kind of proved it that it really doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one in on my infinite baffle subwoofer. It is much more than I need. Takes a lot of space, but I'm gonna deal with this compromise. And if anybody wants this, give me a shout, because I literally have too many amplifiers. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.